PhD student on the team, and I started in November last year. And before that, I worked for 15, 20 years as an OD practitioner, diversity and inclusion sort of specialist. And I completed my master's in 2003. And then I was also a mature student, so I'm even a more mature student now. And I had this sort of idea to do a PhD for a long time, but I had quite strict criteria on what I wanted in a PhD. I wanted to be part of a research institute. I wanted to be part of a research project. I wanted good supervisors, all these things. And I didn't necessarily found that. And we traveled a lot with my family. But then I came across FAWI and started my PhD here. And I have to say it's been lovely, but I'm just going to talk about the hardest bit first and then what I love second. But it was really, really hard getting back into thinking because I realized for the last 15 years, I probably only used a really small percentage of my brain. So I keep on telling Lucinda, I feel like my brain is smoking, like it's working so hard. Because I haven't done statistics and research methods for a good sort of 17 years. So it's in there somewhere, but I have to kind of almost relearn that again. So it's been a lot of new things I have to learn. So that's hard, but at the same time, that's what I absolutely love. And that's one of the, I guess, the big thrills. It's that learning. And what I really appreciate is the deep diving, that I can really spend time to focus kind of on one thing, and it's my project. And you know, when you're working, you do a million different things on so many different projects, and you feel like it's really hard to focus. But now I get to focus on what I want to focus on and learn around that. So that's one thing I love. The other thing I really like, which everyone has touched on, it's practical, and I'm encouraged to focus my research on things that really interests me. And because I come from a practitioner perspective, I know what kind of problems I want to solve, and it's plenty of opportunity to do that. So whilst I have to look at the theory behind some of the constructs I'm looking at, I feel like it's very applied. It will help me being a practitioner going forward if that's what I want to do. And the third thing I love is the support. So whilst it's challenging, it's a very supportive environment. So support, you have your supervisors, but also your peers. So we have like PhD support groups, team chat groups. If I ever have a problem, there's so many people I can talk to, but also all the other staff. And I don't feel like we are students in the bottom of the hierarchy. We feel like we're kind of part of the team and part of the workforce. So all that support makes it maybe not easy to do the PhD, but it certainly helps and makes it a really enjoyable experience. So yeah, to Lucinda.
Thank you. I started in the same way as a lot of people have said so far, kind of stumbled into it a little bit. I did my undergrad and honours in Sydney in psychology, and I came over and did my master's at UWA and started at the centre as a placement student. And absolutely loved it. Then did another placement with Daniela as part of the CPAR project. And that kind of snowballed into a job with CPAR, and then I transitioned that into a PhD with CPAR. So I am looking at what makes age diversity work in organisations, and how can we kind of get positive outcomes from age diversity, which is hard. It's really, really challenging. And I think a lot of my experience has been really similar to what people have said so far. But one thing that I wanted to touch on is the crying and tears thing. I mean, you're going to cry, it's going to be really hard. But as Eva said, I think one of the things that feels like is different about FAWI to what other PhD students that I've talked to in other programs or other unis is the level of support that you have, because we're so integrated and we're working amongst these incredible researchers, but also new graduates and other PhD students. So I feel like at FAWI, there's always someone's door I can knock on. If it's a stats problem, Pat's going to get a knock on the door. If it's like emotional support, I'll find almost anyone I can talk to. So there's always someone that you can come to ask for help. You're never alone in the problem. There will be so many resources to help you. And I was going to say something else, but I've forgotten. But I think the moral of it is that you're never alone in it. And so I think that's really comforting. And helps with the resilience and kind of pulling yourself back up and getting going again. So yeah, that's it.
Right, great. I think one thing I got from this sharing six speakers is PhD is a very individual thing. There is no one cut for all, right? Like for me, I personally had no interest, zero interest in research, zero understanding in PhD. The only reason I did it is because I applied for a scholarship and I got it. That was the only reason. Then I turned out, and you kind of like falling in love with research as you started doing it. Like I did not know I had that side of me until, I can't tell you guys how many years ago. And so now we heard all the stories and we heard all the experience. I hope that we have provided a side of the PhD that you don't know yet to you all. And now is the fun part. And now we'll welcome our Director of HDR just to explain through, if you would like to apply, what are the procedures, what are the requirements. And then after that, we'll talk a little bit about the current scholarships as well.
Hi everyone. I've sat at the back of the room, so I'm the ogre part of the presentation that has the requirements that need to be met. And I'm encouraged to hear there's so many tears. There's obviously a lot of rigour in the research. So it's a fabulous opportunity to join the School of Management and Marketing. And in terms of eligibility, I'd like to enforce the concept that we are about ensuring quality, both in our research and students, and also we'd like to have what the university calls timely completion, but we encourage you to move through your program in a manner that's appropriate to your research. And everyone has, what should we say, hiccups in their lives, and we accommodate those hiccups as well. But in terms of eligibility, that's where the doom and gloom director comes in. Criteria for entry is that we require an honours degree or a master's, and we need to ensure that basically we're looking at a component that demonstrates research capability overall. Old-fashioned viewpoint is we'd like to see a course weighted average of 70% or more. We consider other elements, but that's the guideline that we're looking at. In terms of mature students, we're happy to take mature students. In terms of eligibility overall, it's an online admission process, and I'd suggest that from the slides that you've been given tonight, you have a strong discussion with a supervisor before applying. And as you've heard the candidates say, PhDs change. There's no doubt about that. And no one's going to hold you to that strict, this is what you enrolled in, this is what you must stay in. But it's really important that you be able to demonstrate that you have the capacity for research in your application. That means having a proposal that meets the eligibility overall, honours degree, master's degree, we can see that your progress has occurred in an appropriate manner and that your research topics fall within the strategic goals of the school. So identifying a prospective primary supervisor is key to that application, and I strongly encourage all applicants to have that discussion, build a rapport with a prospective supervisor and discuss those elements before even creating an application. I'll be around a little bit afterwards. If you wanted to have more input into the overall details, please come and ask me. I don't want to stand here and bore you with the details as such. Amy, did you want to talk about the Rtp scholarships or Marilyn?
Slides as well.
Okay, so you've got the date, so yeah, that's fine. Just the key dates.
Oh, okay, they're there. Okay, yeah, I didn't think about the key dates and things, but yeah, so I'd like just to add to what everyone has said so far, I also want to point out that the School of Management and Marketing, or Marketing and Management, which order is it now? Like, I can't remember. Management and Marketing, and FAWI, we actually have a lot of links, and it is possible for, like, oftentimes when you apply for a PhD, you'll find your primary supervisor, but like students always also have a co-supervisor of some, or a, what is it, an affiliate supervisor, I think. Like, so there's like different types depending where they're coming from. And those can come from different areas of the faculty or even the university if you're doing something a bit more disciplinary. So it is possible to have a supervisory team that comes from different places. So that's something to think about if you want to have good expertise on your supervisory committee. But on the topic of scholarships, if you do a PhD, you'd probably want to continue eating and having a roof over your head. So if you need that, then you have the option of applying for scholarships when you apply for the PhD. So that there's the PhD application, and somewhat linked and separate at the same time is a scholarship application. And you have some options here. So in terms of like there's different types of scholarships, and you can go to the scholarship page on which is here, and there's different types that you can look through, but the major ones I think that would pertain to us would be things that are funded by grants. So the first one at the top is actually one that I'm leading at the moment, and it has to do with understanding how team motivation develops in work teams. So if that's a topic that's of interest, then you would contact me. This is what this, like it says on the scholarships, like contact me and start a discussion around projects that would have to do with this topic. So that's one form of scholarship. Another one is a research training program, which is Australian government program. And you apply through the university to this program, and you have to find a supervisor. And it's based on projects again. So when you go to this website, you'll find all kinds of RTP projects, we say. And if one of them is something that you were looking to do as a PhD topic, then again, you would contact the supervisor who's leading that RTP project, start a conversation, and get all your paperwork together to apply for that scholarship. Soon we will also have, so the deadline for this is 30th of August, correct? To apply for the scholarship, and it will open in July, so they're not online yet, but just keep your eye out for it. And then there's another type of scholarship that's going to come out at the same time, and we don't have all the projects lined up yet for it, but they will come. And they're called strategic scholarships, and the requirements might be a bit more rigorous for that one. There's going to be less of them. The RTP scholarship is only for domestic student, whereas the other one is for both domestic and international student. So if some of you are international, then you would probably have to apply. If you're not a permanent resident or Australian citizen, you would probably have to apply for the strategic one. And again, it will be kind of the same process of looking at the projects, contacting supervisors who are leading these projects, and start a conversation with them, and then prepare your paperwork to apply for that scholarship. I think that's about it for that. Did you want me to do the next slide, or you were going to do it like, because I think there's like a list of the, yeah. So I think those are for the RTP ones, right? So these are all the RTP projects that will appear on July 12th on the website. So that gives you an idea of what's there. And this is for the School of Management and Marketing and for the Future of Work Institute, I think. So, right? Yeah. So you see all the supervisors. So these are the people you would have to contact. You can actually contact them now if you want, I think. Like it doesn't hurt to start the process now if you want. And all the different topics are here. So you want to just leave this slide a little bit so you can check. I don't really have anything else to say about that, I think. Yeah, that's good. Do you want to go through them or?
No.
We have it.
Yeah. And I think that's just I'll leave that slides up there because you might want to read about it. But don't worry about taking down any notes because the slides will be shared to every single one of you after the event. They'll be emailed to you all. The final slides on this PowerPoint deck is the contact point for FALVI and for the School of Management if you wish to learn more about doing PhD. So I think we'll pause it here. Now, what I would really want to do is for you to ask questions. If you want to know anything about PhD, if you have a topic in your mind that you would like to know if there are supervisors here that may available to supervise you, just ask anything that you want. This is very, very informal, and we have kept this informal for a reason because we really want this to be an opportunity to network, an opportunity to showcase what we're actually doing. So anyone? This is like doing online, you can start tapping on people now. So I know if you don't mind, I find out there's a couple from outside Curtin University. Do you mind if I ask you guys if you have any questions? I know that you're from ECU and then UWA. Do you mind if you have any questions? Do you have any questions?
Hello, my name is Nikki. Actually, I'm enrolled with ECU currently for my PhD, and the research area, my interest of research area is in corporate social responsibility. I don't know if Curtin University has any scholarship for this topic. So what I'm doing is I don't have a research background, so I was doing an integrated PhD at ECU where for 1 year they kind of give a foundation course to equip you with the required research skills. So I've completed that, and now I've started to actually work on my research project. So I'm also looking for scholarship opportunity at ECU, and as well as looking for opportunity at other universities. So this is the whole my objective of attending this session today. Yeah, so I don't know if Curtin University has any opportunity on the topic that I'm looking into. Thank you.
So I don't know, Sharon, do you want to answer this?
The RTP scholarships that you can see listed there are in the current round and they commence in 2022 research term 1. There isn't a particular focus on your topic in that particular list, and as we indicated, the strategic round scholarships haven't yet been published or finalised in any way, shape or form. So I'd refer you to that particular link to the landing pages, and that will take you both to the RTP scholarships and the strategic scholarships when they become available. In terms of moving from one university to another, you're more than welcome to put an application and discuss with, identify and approach a potential supervisor within the school. But at this particular time and place, as you'll all be aware, the impact of COVID has been significant. And so the scholarship rounds that you see before you are somewhat impacted by our current situation. Normally the RTP scholarships, for instance, would be open to both domestic and international students, but they've been restricted in the current year. If you're already enrolled as a student, you can also apply for RTP scholarships and the further strategic scholarship rounds, but I can't identify at this particular time a particular project for you at this time. And I think with most universities, the best approach is to keep an eye on those particular research pages for you to look forward to. But whether you continue with ECU or move to Curtin in the short term. I can't offer you more than that. But again, if you did move, you're more than entitled to.
One way to start is we do have a page on search for supervisors. So maybe take a look on those website and you'll find all level 1 and level 2 supervisors there, and just see if you can find someone in advance and then get in touch with them before the RTP deadlines. Yeah. So any other questions so far? Joanne, if you don't mind, do you have any questions? Sorry, this is the problem when you know someone in the audience, right? Yeah, do you have any questions?
I guess, well, I work full time, and so does anyone ever do a PhD and still work outside the university sector? Yeah,
As you're doing PhD. You can absolutely do a PhD part-time, absolutely. But again, I'll pass it back to Sharon to tell you the difficulties of doing it part-time.
As someone who studied with small children as a single mother and worked and did a PhD, I think I'm semi-normal. I wouldn't say I'm totally, which is probably why I'm the director of HDR studies, but it's entirely feasible. You can enrol on a part-time basis or a full-time basis, and you can change your mode, which most students tend to think they can't do, to accommodate your needs. Yeah. So by all means, it's the workload, and as Fowie would tell you, managing your workload and your own expectations is critical to your overall well-being and success as well. And I can, for someone that did what you're suggesting, it's not an easy path, but it gave me a great deal of satisfaction and achievement to come through at the other side.
Sure. I think some scholarships have
the RTP scholarships are fine. It's only the international students currently that are limited on the scholarship basis. Okay. It depends on what kind of scholarship. So will you have been an international student at that time? No? Okay.
I think
Full-time scholarship children work. Yeah. During, yeah.
work on the weekend.
Yes, that's fine. Yeah, that's true. Part-time, yeah. If you're outside the scholarship and you're a domestic student, you can work.
The problem is that knowledge shifts, isn't it? I also think it's somewhat risky. So it's not to say you can't try. Also, there's the risk that may take.
Right. I mean, we can have one final question. Yeah.
So I am doing honours in public relations right now. So I don't really see any of those topics really fitting in with what I'm interested in. So are there options for me to still like apply? And also what scholarship or I guess like what options do I have to also still make money and still live while studying PhD if it doesn't fit in those?
So this is a great opportunity for Scott to sing for our public relations, right?
Right. Yeah, look, so we do have Katrina Wolf as Associate Professor. She would be the best person to contact in terms of doing a PhD. There's not, as I see, there's not an RTP up there. for public relations. But you can always apply for a scholarship after you've enrolled in a PhD. I mean, it's not always the best approach, but I have heard of people in the past that have worked with supervisors to develop an RTP project that fits with their PhD project. So don't feel, saddened that there's nothing up there. Have a chat to Katrina, and I'm sure we can arrange something. But I would say that the RTP is competitive. So just to let you know that the RTP is not just for our school, the School of Management and Marketing, or FOWI, it's a university-wide program, and so you'll be judged against applicants from elsewhere in the university. And that does make it a little bit challenging because there's a different kind of path into PhDs, say in science and engineering, as opposed to psychology. So one thing you might want to think about is, have you got any publications at this point, which is something that you might want to talk to your prospective supervisor about where you're placed in terms of applying for a scholarship. But I'm sure these fine people in FOWI and the rest of us can help you out with those problems.
The other thing I would suggest you to do, though, is to check on our colleagues' website. The reason why I put up the 18 RTP scholarship or project up, because they're very recent and they're the most immediate opportunities. But you can see the very first one is actually a project-based scholarship. So you can just reach out to the potential supervisor. They may have project in place that they may have a component that is assigned for PhD scholarship. So you never know until you reach out to them. So don't be restricted by what's on the slides. So that's it. That's the end of the formal part. And we do have some refreshment to keep you guys here for a bit longer. That's always the trick. And so, as I mentioned, the deck of slides will be emailed to you guys. And you're more than welcome to reach out to me individually. I just noticed I've not introduced myself. I'm Amy Tian, by the way, so I'm in the School of Management and Marketing with Scott. So you're more than happy to reach out to any of the individuals here or to the generic emails on these slides for any questions. One more thing I probably want to mention is you don't need to have a scholarship to start your PhD. You can always apply once you get enrolled into your PhD. So there's always opportunities. And that's it. That's the end of the formal session. So we'll welcome you to some refreshment and some drinks. And it's Friday.